Let us now examine the role and functions of the teacher and the student under idealism and perennialism. These two human sources in a classroom have definite roles to play based on the philosophy they propound in their own teaching and learning experiences. So let's look at the teacher first. The teacher should be an expert in the content knowledge, which simply means that no matter what subject you teach, what grade level you teach, you are familiar, well familiar with the content of that subject for that particular grade level. And if you teach across certain grade levels, then you need to be familiar with the content in that subject across all the grade levels that you teach, because the teacher under idealism and perennialism is seen as the expert, the provider of information and knowledge. Because of that premise, the teacher needs to have a really good command over the content of the subject area. Passes on to the next generation the accumulated wisdom of the past. So the teacher's role or function really is to transfer. To transfer what I know. And what do I know? I have gained from the past. And what I've gained from the past is good because it has survived, it has stood the test of time. I must pass it on to the next generation. The passing only is the function of the teacher. The teacher simply is responsible for transferring, handing over, giving the knowledge and information from the wisdom of the past to the next generation coming up. So a very limited role for the teacher to play, a rather easy role to fit in, but as we will move to other philosophies, we will see how the teacher's role changes. The student, on the other hand, is there to learn what is taught. So the student has no opportunity to ask questions. The student has no opportunity to inquire, to find out, to debate, to disagree, or even to negotiate with the teacher. The student is there to learn, which simply means that the student is a passive recipient. The student only receives what the teacher gives and provides. And so the student's role also is very limited over here. A single thing: sit quietly, listen, write down what I'm saying, copy from the blackboard, read from the textbook. These are the questions, these are the answers, that is what you need, that is what you require, and I am here to give it all to you. So the teacher is the giver, the student is the receiver, and the roles of the teacher and student stop there under idealism and perennialism. Even using all the four tools of philosophy, because all the four tools rely on the great works, the great books, and the classics, it's all from the past, and that past has to be transferred on to the next generation. Because the belief in idealistic or perennialistic education is to pass on, to give to the next generation, the roles of the teacher and student become very, very limited. And so the teacher is the dispenser, the giver of knowledge, the provider of information. The student is the recipient. How does the student receive? The student receives in one of three ways. The student listens, the student writes, or the student gives back, either orally or in writing. So only two real functions the student performs: listening and writing. Listening also needs to be active listening. Most students are not used to active listening. They are actually simply hearing the teacher's voice. They are not necessarily paying attention. So how does one guarantee that the student who is there to learn and receive is actually listening? And so when the teacher is talking, it is important that also writing happens, because that's the only way a teacher and a student both can make sure that they are giving and receiving appropriately according to this philosophy.